Hey everyone, it's Justine. Welcome to a new video. When I saw that scrapbook.com was looking for some people to create some advent calendars, I signed up right away. Every year I love creating different types of advent calendars, and each year I like to try out different forms and types and different things to put inside, and I always have a lot of fun with them. It's oftentimes as well a paper crafting activity that I do for myself that I don't necessarily put up on my channel. But today I thought, why not share this year's 2019 advent calendar? So I've gone ahead and I've ordered some paper from Tonic Studios. I decided to stick with a black, gold, and craft color palette. I wanted it to be more of an elegant, adult style Christmas advent calendar. If that's the case though, I probably would have just picked up the craft beer advent calendar at the liquor store. But you know, whatever works.
All right, we're gonna get started building the advent calendar together. If you're following along, I'm going through step by step of the process, and I'm also gonna offer some tips and tricks along the way. In order to build the envelopes, that's what you see stacked up here like a Christmas tree, I'm gonna be using the We Are Memory Keepers envelope punch board. Now you wanna choose an option with the envelope punch board where all the widths are going to be the same. So I chose all the card sizes that started with 3 inches when I was making this. Next to it on the envelope punch board, it tells you what size to cut your paper. So I'm going to cut it down to 7 1/8 by 7 1/8 for my first example. I'm only going to show you how to use the machine once because it would be pretty boring to watch me make 24 envelopes. Now on the We Are Memory Keepers punch board, next to the card size and the paper size, it has something that says score line. So up at the top left corner, you can see there's a ruler. I've lined it up with 2 3/4 inches, just like it says in the guide. I've then added a score line. You can see that turquoise sort of piece that is jutting out on the left side. I line up my score line each time after that and score down the right side. There's a guide there. So just remember to keep lining it up with that first score line that you made and turning it counterclockwise as you go, and it's not much more difficult than that. I apologize that my camera shakes a bit when I hit the punch board, but it just is what it is while I'm creating this. The top of this actually rounds off the corners, so if you prefer rounded corners, that's an option as well. Now you can see that this is what you get. This is what it should look like. And I'm going to go ahead and score all the lines that I had scored. Now this scoring tool comes with the actual envelope punch board itself, so that's really handy. Once you have 3 sides folded in, you're going to go ahead and add some scrapbook.com double-sided adhesive or any brand that you might have. I'm using a 1/4 inch adhesive and that works out really well for me. And I'm going to add it to the side flaps here towards the bottom. I'm going to remove the double-sided adhesive and then I'm going to fold my envelope upwards. It's all ready now to add a note inside. If you'd like to know what's inside all of the calendar pieces or envelopes, then you can go to my blog and I have a list there. As I said, this is a bit of an adult advent calendar and not meaning like, you know, adult themed or anything. It's just a little bit different than a kid's traditional one or one where you'd find sweets in them. Now you can go ahead and decorate your envelopes however you like. I'm going to be using different variety of things from die cuts to stamp sets to decorate my envelopes. One of the stamp sets that I truly love, or 2 of them that I truly love from scrapbook.com are Big Bold Christmas and Big Bold Holiday. These offer really large sentiments on them and you can emboss them or stamp them right on top. Because I'm using a mixture of plain Kraft Cardstock as well as patterned paper, I only really need to focus on this. I put stamping on most of the craft envelopes and I put die cuts on the ones that are patterned. So I went ahead for this envelope here and I stamped the Believe in the Magic of Christmas using Versamark ink or embossing ink. And I'm going to go ahead and add some gold embossing powder on top and heat that up. I really want to keep to that idea of black, gold, and craft as my color palette, so I tried to keep things simple with the inks, the embossing powders, the die cuts, and the paper that I'm using to all kind of fit to those 3 colors. I don't want it to get too complex as far as colors go because I want to use this not only as an advent calendar, but a decorative piece during Advent. Now I've gone ahead and I have melted the sentiment. You can see how pretty it looks on the envelope. It's got this gorgeous shine to it. You can go ahead and decorate them as you like. As I said, I've squeezed a little bit of a white pigment ink refill from scrapbook.com, and I've grabbed a paintbrush. Just flicked the paintbrush over top, and it's just added a little extra something to the envelope, almost like snow. You could also add it to the edges of the cardstock. It's completely up to you. Now I'm going to grab my scrapbook.com black hybrid ink, and I'm going to stamp the big date stamps. These here, I have a whole bunch of them, and they're perfect for adding the date for your advent calendar. So I put December 5th on the back flap. Sometimes I added it on the front of the cards. It's completely up to you. Let me show you very quickly some of the other cards that I created. As I said, you can get it really as creative as you like, adding white pigment ink to the edges of your envelopes to look like snow, adding sequins, adding embellishments, completely up to you. Now you can choose to decorate your pattern paper as you like. So I went and grabbed a whole bunch of these. I grabbed some wafer thin metal dies in circles and stars from scrapbook.com. I grabbed some mega alphabet dies from Altenew, the numbers. I grabbed this gorgeous Noel die cuts from Concord and 9th, and really just any type of dies or stamps that are Christmas themed really will work. So if you don't have Christmas pattern paper, just use Kraft Cardstock and decorate them how you like. If you don't have dies, use stamps. If you don't have stamps, use dies. You can decorate them however much you like. You could even go to the store and buy yourselves numbers to stick on the envelopes. One of the things that really helped me speed up this process was having a good variety of dies. I also went ahead and cut some cardstock in Harvest Gold and Kraft to 6 by 8 inches. This is the size of a Big Shot cutting plate or a Gemini Junior cutting plate or a Platinum 6 cutting plate. And what's really awesome is scrapbook.com creates these double-sided adhesives in exactly that size. So I'm going to use these so I can create stickers so I don't have to sit there and glue things all over my envelopes the entire time. So I'm going to grab my 6 by 8 piece of cardstock and just place it over top of the double-sided adhesive. You see I removed one of the pieces, and then I'm going to go ahead and get die cutting. So I added the adhesive to both the back of the Kraft as well as the Harvest Gold, and I'm going ahead and just laying dies all over, trying to really fill up the space. And this way I'm able as well to just really not have much waste. I like to use these 6 by 8 sheets when I know I'm cutting a full sheet of cardstock type of thing. And whenever I'm placing dies this close together, I also like to use a metal shim, even with the Gemini Junior, because it obviously displaces some of the areas that it's going to put pressure on in the die cutting machine. And so just to get the best result, try using a shim if you're not getting a good cut. So I ran those through my die cutting machine as well as some stars from Altenew, and I'm going ahead now, and all I need to do is peel the die cut off of the adhesive sheet, and it's a sticker and it's all ready to go. No fussy cutting, no gluing, nothing, just really easy placing these on. And you can go ahead and stamp the big number stamps or whatever you like on the inside. So I was able to arrange several different things. I'm using the hybrid ink, remember, from scrapbook.com. I like this one for stamping sentiments. And you can see some of the cardstock that I chose for my advent calendar here. So I used the Kraft, I used some black satin cardstock, which is a little bit different than traditional black cardstock in that it's quite shiny. And since it's all made by Tonic, it all matches each other perfectly. You can now see these Noel dies in action with the beautiful Quatrefoil cardstock with black and gold. I cut these out in gold and Kraft, and overall I just love the way these envelopes look. Here you can also see some of that gold polka dotted cardstock with the mega alphabet from Altenew. I'm going to go through each of the envelopes now. So I used the Noel, Concord, and 9th dies to create this beautiful piece here. Then for the number 2, I used the skinny alphabet dies from the Stamp Market in gold harvest cardstock. This one here, I just used some of the stars from scrapbook.com. Mega number die from Altenew number 4. And I did the same here for number 5, but this time I cut it out in gold. 6, you can see this gorgeous patterned paper. Didn't need much more. I just used the wreath from that Noel die from Concord and 9th. Some of the plain circle dies from scrapbook.com and the star dies. I find scrapbook.com dies are a really great price. And you can see some of them repeating as well. Here I did 10 and 11 in those skinny alphabet dies. Again, I think these look so elegant and pretty when they're all finished. I just wanted to have a nice variety and just kind of have a little bit of a surprise of what it's going to look like when it's all said and done. And really, it was just a few dies that made this possible. Some stars, some circles, and some numbers or an alphabet die, which lots of people have in their stash as is. You could do embossing or stamping on your cards if you want, or on your envelopes rather. And then, of course, you can go ahead and just use die cuts. So here is a finished look at the rest of these ones here. I think these look absolutely fantastic. You can see all the different sizes. They're all going to be mixed up. If I were to go back and redo this, I think I would do the numbers 1 to 24 in order in my advent calendar as the tree. It would just, I think, be easier to take apart when it comes time to opening one each day. But slipping one out now and again is not going to be a big deal. I'm not going to have it upright. I'm going to have it laying down anyway. Here's just a quick reminder of what the advent calendar looks like when it's standing upright and you have all the envelopes stacked in there. As I said, I'll probably actually lay it down for when it comes time to using it, but for the meantime, it can stay upright and be a beautiful home decor piece. All right, let's chat quickly about what's inside the envelopes. For the most part, I created just little pieces of cardstock, attached them some gold glitter cardstock. You can make these as plain or as simple as you like. You can make cards or just little note cards, completely up to you. So for the most part, all of my ideas for the advent calendar are ideas that bring us closer together on the holidays. So I added things like on Fridays, let's watch a holiday movie, let's have a holiday drink, let's go out for dinner. I also put some date ideas in there. I put movie theater tickets for a night out. I put spa tickets in there so we could go to the spa during one of the days before the holidays begin. There's just lots of possibilities you can put in there, from gift cards to date ideas. I put, I'll make you your favorite holiday baking, you know, that type of thing. And then for once a week or so, I do have a card in there that says, you know, open box number 5 or open box number 10. And inside it's a little sweet treat. I'm going to show you how I made the boxes in just a second. And if you need an idea of what the boxes are, again, you can take a look at the picture throughout the video of my advent calendar. Now, in order to seal these up, you could go ahead and use some of the double-sided adhesive, the stuff we use to, you know, put our envelopes together. Or what I ended up doing for all the other envelopes that I created was I used repositionable or non-permanent tape runner to close them. So that way when my partner opens it, the envelope stays nice and intact and we can put it back in so it still looks like a nice home decor piece at the end of the day. All right, so for those boxes, you can see a couple of the boxes sort of sitting here. You can make as few or as many as you like in whatever patterns you like. Use the pattern paper, use black cardstock, use pink cardstock. It doesn't really matter. But to make these fun boxes, I also used another tool from We Are Memory Keepers, which I haven't pulled out for a while, and that's the gift box punch board. Now I'm making the smallest size there is, and that is the 1.75 by 1.75 by 1.75 box. And I cut my paper to 6 inches. You can see it has an extender here if you need it. So I'm gonna go ahead, it says next to it that the start line should be on small and the diagonal line should be on small. I punch the cardstock and then there's 3 places to score. So straight across, straight down, and then where it says up at the top, it says diagonal, you're gonna hit the small as well because that's what it tells you in the gift guide. You're gonna turn it counterclockwise, line it up with the small, punch it. You're going to score to the side, downwards, and at that small line. And you just repeat that 4 times along the cardstock. Now these boxes are super easy to create, and what I love is you actually don't need any glue when it's all said and done. So that's really awesome and an added bonus in my opinion. So once you're done doing all 4 sides of these, after you're finished punching and doing all 3 of the score lines, you're gonna go ahead and you're going to turn your paper to the other side, and you're going to line it up again at that small, and you're going to give it a punch on all 4 sides. That way you have a knot on each of or 2 of those sort of notches on each side of the cardstock. And once again, I apologize for the camera shake. Each one of those corners, you're gonna go in now and you're gonna give that a punch as well. This is gonna add a little notch in the cardstock so you can put the box together without using any glue. So this couldn't be any easier to use, and you can create boxes that are actually quite large. The largest box you can create is 10 inches, actually. That's actually super huge. So now that that's all finished, you're gonna score all the lines that run up and down or side to side. None of those diagonal lines you see, those short diagonal lines. So on each side of your box, there's 2 lines to score, the one for the flap and the one for the side to create the bottom of your box. And then all you need to do is push in the diagonal corners. So you're gonna see that on screen very shortly. It's really, really super easy. So I take this and all I do is push in that score line. And if you've scored it well, it will really just collapse into itself so easily. You then go ahead and you notch the top. So you attach the 2 here. And then you go ahead and you attach the 2 at the top. You can see that I've created several of these boxes myself, and I created them mostly in black. So this is what they look like. You could add a ribbon around them, you can stamp on them, you can use a gold pen to decorate them. It's completely up to you. So now I'm gonna put together the actual Advent box. So I ordered just a plain wooden box off Amazon, and using that Amazon carton, I cut myself a piece of cardboard that would elevate my tree a little bit. And obviously this is not attractive or pretty in any way, shape, or form, so I cut a piece of Harvest Gold cardstock that would cover that. So it's almost like a little stage. It elevates my Christmas tree a little bit. You could keep some of the presents underneath here as well if you wanted to use some sort of removable adhesive or attach it with some Velcro or something like that. But I'm going to use some double-sided scrapbook.com adhesive on the edges of my box, and I'm going to place the gold cardstock over top so that you don't see the edges of the cardboard. You could always buy a smaller box, but this is the box that came, and my envelopes clearly did not go all the way up to the top. So once I added that on there, I decided to go ahead and grab some alphabet pieces from the Skinny Alphabet stamp from the stamp market, or it's called Skinny Tall Alphabet, something like that. I'll link to it below in the video description. And I cut out the letters Advent. All right, so when that was all done and I was done gluing all the letters down, I went ahead and I checked out how tall my Christmas tree was going to need to be, and I decided to add in my star first. So first of all, I grabbed these. I'm not gonna put them in just yet because I'm not sure how tall it should be. So I cut out a star using the star die cuts from scrapbook.com, and I used one of those 1 by 1.75 cubes that I created for gifts to use this as a propping point. Now, obviously I needed my star to be 3D, so this was how I made it 3D. I attached it to the top of the box using some of that double-sided adhesive from scrapbook.com. That was firmly in place, I put all my envelopes in here. Now you can see they don't quite fit, so I grabbed some black felt and I cut it down into small squares, and I just used them as spacers in between the envelopes. And this way I was able to extend how high my envelopes were able to go. So when I go ahead and put this upright, it totally works if I put the felt more towards the front of the envelope and then they all stay in place. I could also use this as a home decor piece that lays down though when it's actually being in use, as I've mentioned before. It's completely up to you whether you want it upright or not, or how you want to secure these envelopes into place. But overall, mine are just kind of sitting here floating around and having fun. So it's going to look great until Advent, and who knows after that. It just depends how much we want to put them back together in the end. So you can see I added felt in between each one of the envelopes, and my tree got bigger and bigger and taller until it reached the star at the top. I think it looks really great. I think the colors are really cool. I like the wood around it. I think it looks really neat. Another idea that I did have, and it would be completely up to you what size stars, I cut out all these stars from Altenew and I wrote using a gold pen 1, 2, 3, 4 because I didn't put my envelopes in order. As I said, if I were to go back and redo this, I would totally put them in order. It would just make more sense. So I thought about adding little ornaments to my tree by adding in the stars, but then it just looked too crowded and I wasn't really liking the look, but this is an idea that you could do. The last thing I plan to do at some point is maybe sticking some LED lights in here to make it a little bit more fun. But here are some final looks at the advent calendar that we created, as well as some of the envelopes that we created as well. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, for this kind of different video than my standard ones, and I hope you have a great season. I would love to know if you make advent calendars. Let me know in the description below. Bye for now.